Hi, everybody. Good morning. Good Monday morning or afternoon or evening, depending where you're at and where the sun is in the sky, where the earth is in its rotation. I hope you're doing well today. As I see in the class notes already, and anytime I do one of these videos, I see that the chat room is already full. As you know, if you watch these videos live, there is a chat room where students and people around the world can chat live. So a lively discussion already going on this morning, even before we begin. Good afternoon, Leo. Good afternoon, France. It's morning here. It's 7:30 a.m. in the morning on the west coast of America. I know for some of you it's getting to be almost midnight. It's almost Tuesday. It is a holiday. Some of you saw that. It is a holiday today. It's a federal holiday. Oh, I just noticed my jacket has it's doing that weird thing because it's got a fishbone pattern, so it's doing that weird thing on video. That's pretty cool. Hello, India. Hello, Argentina. Hello, Brazil. It is President's Day in the United States of America today, where we observe our presidents, but most of all, we are observing George Washington's birthday. George Washington was born on February 22nd, a long time ago. I'm not sure the year, but a long time ago. He's no longer living. I know you know that. He's on the dollar bill. I think around the world, probably most famous for being on the dollar bill. He was our first president. This is coffee this morning. Thanks for asking. Hello, Argentina. Hello, Guatemala. Hello, Jamaica. 12:30 p.m. the afternoon. I hope today's good. 26 p.m. Oh my goodness. 2 o'clock a.m. Tuesday. Yeah, I see Guatemala is here this morning. Mexico is here this morning. A lot of our neighbors from Central and South America. So that's George Washington, and then born February 12th was Abraham Lincoln. Abraham Lincoln was born February 12th. George Washington born February 22nd. And of course, these are two of our most famous presidents. Abraham Lincoln was actually the 16th president and famous for being the president during the Civil War. So we kind of celebrate them, and most likely these two presidents. I seem to remember, and maybe I just want to remember this, I seem to remember we got 2 days off in February for the birthdays of Lincoln and Washington. We would get 2 days off, and then they just combined it into President's Day. At least that's what I remember. Hello, Germany. Wow, it's far off, Germany. Hello, Saudi Arabia. Italy. If I didn't get Italy before, hello, Italy. Yeah, USA history is very, very, very interesting. And it continues to be interesting until this day. Okay. No, I'm not even going to say it. Let's just go to the lesson. How about, you're here for English, right? You're not here for a history lesson. You're here for English. That's why you show up. I've shared with you in the chat room the class notes. So if you look in the chat room, you'll see a link. If you are on your computer, you should be able to open this and see these class notes very easily. If you're on a phone, it will not be so easy to see these class notes. Hello, Korea. Okay, let's look at the class notes. First of all, I share these links every time, so really quickly I'll go through them one more time. If you have any questions about these classes, you can email Zach at smartenglish.com. If you have more questions about these classes that can be answered in a web page, please look at one of these two web pages. These are our Smrt live classes, and there will be more information there. If you want to know more about the physical location of the college I teach at, and teachers Abby and Josh and Nicole work at, you can click this link here. If you want to watch old videos that we create, you can always click this link here. That's our YouTube channel. And then finally, if you want to join our Facebook group, you can always join Learn English on Facebook at this link right there. Oh, pardon me. Coffee went down the wrong pipe there. Okay, I'm Neal Hallgarth. I'm your teacher on Monday mornings. I should be taking a holiday like everybody else, but I think it's just too confusing if I keep on switching up the days I teach. So Monday morning, let's keep it to Monday morning. I will be here every Monday morning, and I say morning because it's my Monday morning. I will be here every Monday at the same time. I'll always be here, so you always be here too. Hello, Earth. Okay, today, Earth, we are talking about the advantages and disadvantages essay. So maybe right off the bat, let's define the terms used in the name of this essay, this style of essay, this style of writing. Advantages, of course, are benefits, bonuses, good things, basically good things. Things that help us. Disadvantages, of course, are negatives. So if I use negatives, maybe I should use positives here. Disadvantages, negatives, things that harm or hurt us. Demerits. Good. You guys are always so awesome with the synonyms. Pros. So we're going to look at how to write an essay that includes both that include both of these things. Not both of these things, that include both of these things. The essays that we'll discuss today don't just cover one of them, don't just cover the advantages or the disadvantages. They will cover both aspects. The pros and the cons. Vivek, that's true. The pros and the cons. Let's see if I can spell cons correctly. For and against. Sounds like you have heard of this kind of essay before. Okay. Oh, good. Some of you actually need this topic. Well, that helps tremendously. Yeah, bad things. So you get the idea. Advantages and disadvantages. Both sides of something. Of the same thing. I am going to jump to the presentation, but I'll come back to the notes. Okay, let's look at structure. In an advantages, disadvantages essay, you must examine both the positive and negative aspects of a specific idea, plan, situation, etc. So it will always be the same topic. You're going to stick to the same topic. It won't be the advantages of one thing and the disadvantages of another. It will be the same subject, the same topic. One word they just used there is the word aspects. Aspects are parts, components, pieces, different parts of, characteristics. Aspects. Aspect is a word that's used a lot in academic English. So we are going to look at the positive and negative aspects of something. Good. I used demerits for disadvantages. Maybe I should use merits for that. Points, yeah. That's a good one for aspect. Different points. Good. Leo, that's exactly it. We're looking for balance. When you write an essay like this, you will look for balance. This will be a 4-paragraph essay with an introduction, 2 body paragraphs, one for advantages and one for disadvantages, and then a conclusion. The purpose of this essay is not just for you to present the benefits and drawbacks of the issue, but to then decide if the advantages outweigh the disadvantages or vice versa. So I saw the word objective here. Rosa, you said be objective. That's good. Be objective and be open-minded. So if you examine something, when you write about it, if you think about it and write about it, you might change your own mind. If you thought something was good and then you write about it and then see the disadvantages outweigh the advantages, of course you'll report that in your conclusion. Drawback, yeah, another word we have here. Disadvantages, another word, drawbacks. Drawbacks is something that makes us, it's like taking a step backwards instead of taking a step forward. It is not making progress. It is the opposite of progress. A drawback takes something away from you, prevents you from doing something. It's a drawback. It's a negative. Drawback. It's a good word. Yeah, similar to disadvantages. Malik, the lecture has already begun. We're talking about advantages and disadvantages. Consequences. We can say, I think consequences is normally seen as a disadvantage. Anytime we use the word consequences, usually we use that in a negative way, and we tend to use results in a positive way. Although results and consequences are neutral terms, it could be good or bad, we tend to use consequences more in the negative. So a disadvantage would be a consequence, advantage we could say result. Minus and plus. Plus, minus. Okay, so a lot of synonyms here. All right, let's look at next. When organizing the essay, keep in mind that the second body paragraph should contain the side that you consider more significant or at least less obvious to your reader. So whatever you're going to decide, and you may not know this until you're done writing the essay, the second body paragraph will be your stronger side. It will be the side you ultimately end up agreeing with, or what you write in your conclusion will weigh more heavily on that side. So you don't always put advantages first and then disadvantages. It depends on what side you're going to end up agreeing with in your conclusion. So you're not sure. Whenever you pick a topic, you're not sure what will go first, the advantages paragraph or the disadvantages paragraph. Yes, you're trying to convince your reader. You want them to agree with you and your results. Okay. Malik, you hear music? Yeah, that's our noisy neighbors. That's our noisy neighbors. Usually, Rosa, that's a great question. Rosa asks, how do we know from the question that we are going to write this kind of essay? Usually they say discuss, describe. A lot of times they'll say it very directly. Weigh the advantages and disadvantages of buying a new car versus a used car, or maybe just buying a used car. We'll keep it specific. Discuss the advantages and disadvantages of living in a rural area. So usually it will be very, very direct, and we'll use the word advantages and disadvantages. But it's good we brainstormed all these synonyms because they may use a synonym. Discuss the benefits and drawbacks to studying at home. So it will be like, it will use two of these terms. It will use two of these contrary terms. The prompt for an advantage and disadvantage essay should be very, very clear. Nitesh asks, globalization and jingoism. What kind of essay would that be? I think that would be a compare and contrast, which is a little different. Don't confuse this type of essay with a compare and contrast essay. The compare and contrast essay compares, finds the similarities and differences between two different things. In a compare and contrast essay, you're going to need two subjects to write about. For example, Nitesh's example is globalization and jingoism. That would be a compare and contrast essay. An advantages and disadvantages would just ask you to find the advantages and disadvantages of a globalized economy. Just one subject, just one topic. And that brings up the topic, what is jingoism? Jingoism this is a good word for President's Day, the belief that one's own country is superior to other countries. Jingoism is the belief that one's own country is superior to other countries. And as you can tell by that definition, it's usually seen as a negative, and then the positive would be patriotism, which would be pride in one's own country. It's okay to be proud of the country you live in. It's okay to be proud as a citizen. It's not okay to be a jingoist, to believe in jingoism, where just somehow by coincidence you happen to live in the best country in the world that happens to be better than all other countries. And some people believe this, actually believe this. I don't think one country in this world is any better than any other country. Countries, many of them, many countries, are just lines drawn on a map. And of course, if you drive around or fly around or take a boat around the world, you will see that these lines do not exist in real life. You can only see them on a map. Okay. Are you having? I see a lot of sound problems. Are you guys having problems with the sound? Let me know. I see a few sound problems. Should I lean in a little bit? Okay. And then that'll lead us to globalization, which would be creating a system that works between countries. Globalization is when we create some system that works between countries. We talk about a globalized market or a globalized economy. And that would be a market or an economy that would work between countries. It needs both countries in order to work, as a matter of fact. Some people feel globalization is great, where others see it as a negative, and it depends if you are the country that is getting the benefits or the country that is experiencing the drawbacks. Okay. Let's continue, shall we? Let's continue. Yeah, it's like good. That's a good analogy. It's like connecting the dots around the world. Okay, let's talk more about this essay type. Shall we? Oh, okay. Boy, anytime you ask a question, it's hard for me to not answer it. Somebody asked, should it be spelled with an S, globalization? And you would say it. Whether you spell it with a Z or an S, you would say it the same, globalization. In American spelling, if you hear that Z sound, the Z, like a bee buzzing, it's probably safe to guess. It won't be true 100% of the time, but it's probably safe to guess. If you want to spell it the American way, use the Z. We usually spell the Z, the buzzing bee sound, with a Z. So we spell it like this, globalization. We use the Z a lot in American English. Shall we? Yeah, I use the term shall we. Is it old-fashioned? It is old-fashioned. It's overly polite, and I usually use it in a somewhat ironic manner. I don't say shall we like to my friends in real life. I say it in somewhat ironic manner. I know it's old and antiquated, outdated. People don't use it so much anymore, and that's why I like to use it. I think it sounds funny. Okay. Disgusting. Okay, let's go to the structure. You may know this. You may know some of the basic essay structure already, but it's always good to review. You need to know this structure, the basic bones, the basic skeletal structure for any essay, the scaffolding, the outline. First of all, your first sentence will be a hook. Always, when you write an essay, your first sentence will be a hook. And a hook, of course, is something you catch fish with. You put a hook at the end of your fishing line, then you put some bait, like a worm, on the hook. We say the first sentence is the hook sentence because you're trying to catch your reader. So the hook better be interesting. Begin your introductory paragraph with an engaging sentence to get the reader's attention and introduce your topic in an interesting way. Always remember, hook is interesting, needs to be super, super, super interesting. Okay, let's look at the next. Background. Background will present any general information that the reader would need in order to understand the topic and its significance. When writing about advantages and disadvantages, you are probably discussing a controversial and important issue, and your introduction should reflect this. The background sentences will give your reader everything they need to know to understand your topic. And it's important to consider at this point who your reader might be, who your audience is. A lot of times it's just a teacher. However, a teacher is grading you on how successfully you organized and structured and wrote your essay. Your true reader is the person you want to try to persuade, or the person you want to agree with you, the person's mind you want to change. So if I wrote about smartphones, for example, and I wrote about in my background sentences what a smartphone is, I could assume my audience or reader is either a child or a very old person who doesn't use a smartphone regularly every day. So it's not very sophisticated to write a definition or what something is. Now, if I wrote in my background the different prices of smartphones, or how much a buyer might expect to spend for a brand new smartphone, then I can assume my reader is an adult and a consumer, and probably it would be a better essay because of that. So don't always use your background sentences. This is one mistake students make all the time. They use their background sentences to define things, and usually you can assume your reader knows some things. Now, if you wrote about a topic like globalization, you might assume that your reader does not know what globalization is, and then you would define it for them. So use your background sentences carefully. Know who your reader is, know who your audience is, and write to them and give them the information they need to know. Now, the final sentence of the introduction paragraph is very, very important. I cannot stress how important the last sentence of your introduction paragraph is. In fact, it is the most important sentence in your essay. The thesis statement will always be the most important sentence in your essay. One more time, the thesis statement is the most important sentence in your entire essay. So make sure it is your best sentence. The final sentence of the introductory paragraph contains the main idea of your essay. In this case, you must make it clear to the reader that the essay will focus on the advantages and disadvantages of the topic. The easy thing about an advantages and disadvantages essay is you kind of know what your thesis statement is going to be. Usually you don't want to write in an essay, I am writing this essay to look at the advantages and disadvantages of purchasing a new smartphone rather than leasing one. That's called announcing. You would just say, you could simply say, there are advantages and disadvantages to leasing a smartphone rather than buying one. Very direct, very direct. You might even guide your reader to your final conclusion. The advantages of leasing a smartphone far outweigh the disadvantages. So you can even give your reader an idea of where your essay is going to go. Okay, let's look a little closer at those types of sentences. So in the notes, I'm going to add some info. So I said the first sentence is a hook. Let me blow this up a little bit. Make it bigger. Okay, hook sentence. Remember this always as an interesting sentence. The hook sentence should always be your most interesting. one thing we tell students early on is that it can be a question. Question sentences in an essay are not very sophisticated. And I've used that word a couple times now, so let me put it in the vocabulary. Sophisticated. I'm using sophisticated to mean advanced, complex, academic, experienced. It's not considered very academic to ask a question. If you are a beginning writer, it's okay to make your first sentence a question. But no matter what your level of writing, please limit the amount of questions you ask in an essay. Remember, as the writer, you're the expert. Please don't ask too many questions of your reader. They're the learner. They're the person you're trying to persuade. If you ask them too many questions, your essay will end up sounding vague, almost like you don't know what you're talking about. And questions is for novelty writing, writing you might see in a magazine and even a newspaper. It's not considered very academic. If you are a beginning writer, the question can help though, especially for the hook. It is a type of hook that is used in popular and common writing, again, like a newspaper or a magazine. However, once you become a student at a college or university, you may want to eliminate the question as a type of sentence you write in an essay. Another thing you can use is a quote, usually from a famous or credible person. Credible means you can believe them. They are an expert. You trust them. You can search for a quotation online, and that usually creates an interesting sentence. Of course, with the background sentences, you might want to discuss why that quote is relevant to your discussion. Okay. Diari, you heard me say they are the person. That's because I can't say it is the person. You can't use it for people, and we don't have a pronoun. We don't have a good pronoun for the third person singular. Is that the one that's missing in English? Yeah, we're missing a pronoun. So often you will hear me use the word they or their for a single person. I'll use it in the singular case. I know it's a plural word, but we don't have a pronoun for the singular case. So I will say things like they are the person. So it's something we're missing in the English language. Very strange. Okay, so question, a quote, a person. One of my favorite things to start with is an interesting fact. An interesting fact. Do a little research online. Find a fact that is interesting related to the topic you are writing about. It can be an anecdote. An anecdote is just a fancy word for story in a short amount of time. Now, if you write a little short story, it may end up being longer than one sentence, but keep it brief, keep it short. It can be a personal story. Oftentimes we call this a personal anecdote. If it is relevant, if it is related to your topic, you can use a personal anecdote or story to begin your essay. And then finally, joke. A joke or something funny. If it is, again, relevant, related to your topic, you can start off a little funny. Now, if the topic is very serious, if we were to write about a globalized economy, I don't know, well, maybe a joke would be good there. But if we were to write about, let's say, a serious illness that affects many people, probably don't use a joke. Probably don't use something funny. Now we have general background information. So these are the background sentences. And usually, oftentimes you're asked to write 5-sentence paragraphs. So let's say you have to write anywhere between 3 to 5 general background information sentences. The hook is usually just, not always, but usually just 1 sentence. The general background information, 3 to 5 sentences, all of the info the reader, and I also call the reader audience, the reader or the audience will need to understand your point of view on a topic. So please pick the information that's going to be relevant, that's going to be related to what you're going to write about the topic. Don't try to explain everything. Don't define things. Don't talk down to your reader. You can assume your reader already knows some things, that they're sophisticated enough to know some things, and just give them the important information, And then your last sentence is called a thesis. Of course, thesis should always be 1 sentence. Sometimes students will try to pack it into 2 sentences. Just make it 1 sentence. This is, of course, your main point. This will be your main point. Presents your point of view related to the topic. So an example for this might be the advantages of exercising a half hour each day. Now that's too easy. The advantages of incorporating, that's even too. I was going to say either exercise or diet, but really you would not write an advantage-disadvantage essay about exercise or diet, because of course those are good things. So I might say the advantages of using CrossFit to get in shape outweigh the disadvantages. CrossFit is a very extreme way of exercising. CrossFit is it's very, very what can you say? It uses heavy weights, a non-stop routine. You don't get a lot of breaks in between. It's really, really crazy. Look it up sometime. But here I'm saying with an extreme type of workout, the advantages outweigh the disadvantages. I want to get more specific than just saying exercise. How many pages is a good essay? Rosa, you wrote, let's see what you wrote, Rosa. I'm going to include this. Nowadays, people can't live without their mobiles. Wherever you go, you see people looking at their phones. Isn't it time to analyze the benefits and consequences of these devices in our daily lives? Rosa, this is good. My one suggestion is never make your thesis a question. This would be great if you were writing a magazine article. You can make your thesis a question. If you're writing for school, for a standardized test like the TOEFL or IELTS, never make your thesis a question. I don't know, academics just does not like it. Maybe let's just change it to a statement. It is time to analyze the benefits and the consequences of these. And don't say these devices, don't use these here. Don't use something that refers to what you wrote before. You'll need to directly say what your subject or topic is. Consequences of mobile devices in our daily lives. So make your thesis a statement.
Checking on that.
Oh, my Siri got activated. That was crazy. Maybe me saying mobile devices triggered Siri there. That's crazy. I would say that's a consequence, right? I don't really. Siri should not interrupt me while I'm teaching. That's a consequence. Okay. Yes. Jundi, I see you started an essay with a proverb. Yeah, you can start with a proverb. Let's go back up. I like the idea of using a proverb. I'm going to call that words of wisdom, such as a proverb. Yeah, you could use something like that to introduce. It just has to be interesting. Okay. So that is the introduction paragraph. Let's go back. Let's start talking about the body paragraphs. Paragraph 1 focuses entirely on the advantages or the disadvantages. Remember, whatever you as a writer think is the weaker side, the side you will not agree with, of the subject. The paragraph should contain a clear topic sentence. Try to give 3 advantages, each followed by specific details and examples. So try to think of at least 3 advantages, or again, disadvantages, because you want this to be balanced. Paragraph 2, opposite, focuses on the disadvantages or the advantages of the subject, should contain a clear topic sentence, and again, try to give 3 advantages or disadvantages, each followed by specific details and examples. So back to the class notes. Both of these types of paragraph, whether you start with the disadvantages and continue to the advantages, both should start with a topic sentence, which will be 1 sentence. As it sounds, introduces the specific topic for the paragraph. And again, for this type of this type of essay, the topic will introduce whether you're talking about the advantages or the disadvantages of, for example, if we use Rose's example of mobile device in daily use. So this topic sentence for this type of essay will be very easy. You'll just make it very clear if this paragraph covers the advantages or the disadvantages. Then you have support. Support sentences, as they sound like. And maybe this one's going to be, if you have to give 3 examples and then support them, I would say, let's give this a set number, maybe more. For the advantages, disadvantages essay, give yourself a lot of sentences in the body to really develop these ideas. Give 3 examples of either advantages or disadvantages and support them. So you'll need an additional sentence to support them. Why is that? So I'll ask you a question. Why is that example you gave an advantage or disadvantage? You're going to have to explain why it's an advantage or a disadvantage. Support. Develop your ideas further. Just don't give an example and walk away and assume your reader will automatically see that as an advantage or disadvantage. What may be an advantage to someone may be a disadvantage to someone else. So please support your statements. Okay. And you guys think you're having fun with how long should an essay be? For this type of essay we're talking about, I would say 1.5 to 2 pages, but probably no longer. If you wanted to go further into depth, of course, it could be more pages. An essay can be long. It can be almost book length. An essay can also be a page long. There's no magic number for page limit. Just think that you have given yourself enough sentences, paragraphs, and pages to fully develop your argument or what you wanted to say or give the information you wanted to present. The final sentence is called the conclusion sentence. Sometimes this is called the transition sentence. And this will be one sentence. Ends the topic, and again here, ends the advantage and disadvantage, and moves to the next body paragraph. Okay, what's tricky about this type of essay, the advantages, disadvantage essay, is this transition sentence could be your last sentence in a paragraph, or it could be the first sentence in the next body paragraph. So a sentence like this the advantages of using mobile devices in our everyday lives far outweigh the disadvantages. Maybe I'm going to change this a little bit. I'm going to actually flip these two clauses. And I'm going to add a transition word. Despite the disadvantages of using mobile devices in our everyday lives, the advantages gained, I'm going to be a little more specific, by the conveniences far outweigh these disadvantages. Despite the disadvantages of using mobile devices in our everyday lives, the advantages gained by the conveniences far outweigh these disadvantages. This sentence, this type of sentence, could be a conclusion sentence, or it could be a topic sentence of the next paragraph. As a writer, you're going to have to make this decision where your transition sentence goes. Does it go at the end of paragraph 1, or sometimes your topic sentence will be a transition sentence for paragraph 2, 3, 4, etc. If you are an advanced writer, you can use both the conclusion sentence and the topic sentence of the next body paragraph to transition. Both will provide transitions. If you don't put a transition in your conclusion sentence, if it just ends the paragraph, you might just end on an idea. For example, These disadvantages create serious consequences in our lives. A simple concluding statement, and of course that would go then before this one. So that might be my conclusion sentence. These disadvantages create serious consequences in our lives. Despite the advantages of using mobile devices in our everyday lives, the advantages gained by the conveniences far outweigh these disadvantages. What you should do, no matter where you put your transition, between two paragraphs, there should always exist a transition. You should always clearly state what is the relationship between those two paragraphs. How does one move or flow into the other? Your essay paragraphs should be like water. They shouldn't be like separate bricks sitting there. Your whole essay should move like water. That is the purpose of transition. Make the task of reading your essay easy for your reader. Don't make it a challenge. Make it so they can easily read it and flow from one idea to the next idea. Make it seamless, no seams. Okay. Let's see. Kayo, can we change the end of your sentence to outweigh them? Far outweigh them. Far outweigh. No, them would be a vague pronoun. We wouldn't know if we put them at the end of this sentence. And Kayo is asking, can we put them at the end of this one? Probably not, because them could either refer to the advantages or the disadvantages. Be careful with pronouns. If a pronoun appears later in a sentence near the end of your sentence, and you have more than one common or proper noun before, it's always going to be a little confusing what that pronoun refers to. So always be very specific, especially in this type of essay. Always be very specific, even if you find yourself repeating terms and words a lot. I would say always make your mistakes, always make cautious mistakes. And I think the mistake here to make would be to repeat words and repeat terms that you've used throughout your essay, rather than try to shortcut with pronouns. Okay. Let's finish up. We have about 7 minutes, so I want to talk about the conclusion. Restate the thesis. The first sentence of your conclusion is going to restate your thesis, and then after that you'll summarize the main points of the essay, and then end with your opinion and an overall evaluation of the topic. The question you should answer in the conclusion is, do the advantages outweigh the disadvantages, or vice versa? Try to end your essay with a strong statement that will leave an impression on the reader. Okay, we'll get to the writing tip in a second. Okay, so conclusion. Conclusions always start with a restatement of the thesis. And this will just be one sentence. Restatement of the thesis. So you have to say the thesis in different words. And this is not very sophisticated. In conclusion, I prefer as you can see over in conclusion, although neither are very sophisticated. As you can see, I'm going to start with this one. As you can see, and this is an example. As you can see, mobile devices, the advantages of mobile devices make them an invaluable tool in our everyday life. So I want to say something a little different. Same idea, stick to the same idea, stick to your main point, but find a different way. Put in some new words. It can't be a copy and paste of the thesis. And this is sometimes the hardest thing to do when writing an essay is, how do I restate my thesis and how do I summarize my own words? And we'll maybe make this 3 to 5 sentences. And by summary, summarize your own essay in 3 to 5 sentences. Cover, again, the most important points. So, of course, one of these sentences will be about the advantages, one about the disadvantages, and then probably another one about how one is stronger than the other. But again, you have to find ways to say it in new words. You can't copy and paste your own work from your own essay. And then finally, I've heard this last one called the big idea. Strong statement. One sentence. There is no possible way for a person living in the modern world to function successfully and efficiently without a mobile device. So I've said it very strong now, and I'm getting into the realm of argumentation. There's no possible way for a person living in the modern world to function successfully and efficiently without a mobile device. Make it a big statement. Go big. Go bold. Not too bold. I feel pretty safe about making a statement like this. I can imagine somebody without a mobile device in the modern world, like a modern society. So how about I change it to that? In a modern society, I don't know what they would do. I would like to live without one, personally. I don't want the stress of always having one, but I don't see how I could get away with it. I don't see how I could get away with it. Yep, go big and go specific. Good, Steve. That's a good way to say it. Go big and go specific. All right. If you are subscribed to the class, there is an example of a advantage-disadvantage essay in the exercise. So that's exercise 1, advantages and disadvantages essay exercise. If you feel ready, Aaron, if you feel ready, you can try writing your own. If you look at 11.2, they give you a prompt, they give you a topic, and you have to try to write your own advantages, disadvantages essay. One last time, I'm going to share the class notes in the chat room. Do not conclude. Leo, do not conclude with a question. Never conclude with a question. Don't make your thesis a question. Don't conclude with a question. Asterisk. Don't conclude with a question. I tried it sometimes when I was in university. Sometimes I would conclude with a question, and it drove my professors crazy. Please don't conclude with a question. It's too open-ended. You want to finish. Finish strong. Finish big, finish strong. The timing of the class. So I've been teaching 1 hour. I don't know what time it is in your part of the world, and I'm not sure of, to be honest with you, I'm not sure of Greenwich Mean Time right now, but it's always the same time Monday morning. So if you're just joining now, I started 1 hour earlier, and I will always start at that time Monday mornings. This same day, this same time, every week. Well, greetings, Turkey. I'm going to try to say your name, Fikret. I'm glad this helped. I love writing. It's my favorite part of English. I write every day just for practice, even if I don't need to. I do love writing. I do love getting better at writing. I love exploring writing, expressing myself in writing. It's something not a lot of people give a lot of time to do. People don't find time to write themselves, but I hope you do find time to write in both your native language and in English and any other language you're practicing. It's excellent practice for language learning skills, and it's a great way to find expression. So always find a little bit of time to write. It's actually an invaluable skill. So I love it. I love teaching it. I'm glad you were here. Thank you for your patience. I didn't have time to check the notes so much. What's my writing routine? Usually at night. Usually sometime when I'm, getting ready to go to bed. When I'm done with everything for the day. Hopefully I'm done with everything for the day. Then I do a little bit of writing. Reading and writing to end the days. Okay. So, find some time to write. Practice your essay writing. Prepare for your classes and your tests with some writing. I'm glad everybody had a good time. Have a good day. It's a holiday. It's a vacation for me today. I am going to enjoy the day off, my President's Day off. But of course, I had to come in and talk to you. I don't want to change the day up. I want to be predictable. I always want to be here on a Monday. And I always look forward to talking with you and hopefully teaching you something new. I will be back next week, of course. But look later this week for a lesson from Abby and Josh and Sean. All right. Bye-bye every day. I'm gonna start the music up, everybody. I'm gonna give the jazz hands goodbye. Goodbye, everybody. Have a good day. Goodbye. Okay, here I go. Bye-bye. Oh, here's first is a quick message from
Hi,
Sean.
everyone. Thanks for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe to our channel. Also, if you want the full experience of being a student in a Smrt Live class with things like homework and teacher feedback, follow the link and become a premium subscriber. Also, if you want to see more videos from this class, check out our playlist.